Hey, what's up everyone? So this is a quick video on how to improve in fighting games. And so, this is kind of an off-the-cuff kind of thing. This isn't like me doing high production values or anything like that. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, and so what I'm better at is just like, giving out information on fighting games. And so I figure, I'd make a quick video series maybe on that. And each piece of the series is just going to be like breaking down individual stuff that's like, kind of important. And so I'm going to start off with, this thing called turns, which I think is a good way of like breaking down how to think about fighting games in terms of like when to act, when not to act, and how to like break things down further. So you're not like overwhelmed with the amount of options you're thinking about at any given time. So the basic idea of a turn is, am I attacking or are they attacking, right? The easiest way of just thinking it's my turn is if it's my turn if I'm attacking and they're like blocking or getting hit, right? And it's their turn if they're doing the same thing to me, right? So the goal here is kind of to break down, what a turn means, how to earn turns, and what to do in each turn. So ideally, this isn't always the case, but it's pretty easy to just go, if I'm attacking them, it's my turn. And you want to get your turn as often as possible, because obviously this is the easiest way to score damage in any capacity. And yeah, your goal should be just strive to do that at any given possible moment. If it's not your turn, you're looking to either reset the situation or make it your turn. So, when it's their turn, you need to do as little as possible. You need to look for the opening to reset the game to neutral. And neutral is kind of what you start the round off as. It's this big, roomy way of playing the game where you just have a lot of options to do stuff. And they have a lot of options to do stuff, like you can do a million things in this situation. You can air C, you can do an air C, you can float around, like command throw to keep yourself in the air and stuff like that as 16. I'm just using 16 as an example. But in like neutral, you have like all these things you can possibly do. And so in neutral, your goal is to earn your turn. And you want to do that in like the lowest risk way possible. But we'll go back to that in a second. So the idea here is earn your turn. Once you have your turn, you need to make a list of things that will score you damage while it's your turn. So for example, when you're Android 16, your basic list will be like, just keep pressing buttons until they stop blocking for some very dumb reason. Or that could be, I just do a command throw. And they get hit, right? So that's kind of what you do as Android 16. You make a list of these things where, like, you can score damage somehow. So that could be command throw, that can be dragon rush, that can be overhead, that could be like some weird cross-up thing where it's like jump and then like do a anti-cross-up or something like that. There's like lots of ways to score damage, or like they jump at, they chicken block and you do an anti-air grab or something like that. Those are all ways of scoring damage as Android 16 if they're like mostly blocking. And lows, you mix up lows in there if they're blocking lots of overheads. Where you might do like this, and then you might do low afterwards, like then you can mix that up with medium, like that and overhead, right? And they'll get hit by that. And if you like, throw in an assist there, you might get some damage off that, right? So that's kind of like, how to use your turn wisely. You want to make a list of things that will score damage if they, mostly respect you. If not, just keep hitting buttons until they do respect you. But yeah, just make that list of things that will score you damage as your character, and then just look to find ways to do them at any given possible time while it's your turn. And then once you do damage, your goal is to maintain your turn, right? You don't want to give up your turn just because, you scored damage. You don't want to knock them out of your turn. The whole point of getting advantage in a fighting game is to earn your turn, essentially. And so don't do anything that would like... Oops. Let's do this, right? So if you do that and then don't do a follow-up, right, you lost your turn. Why would you do that? Don't do that, buddy. So yeah, your goal is to earn a turn and keep it as long as humanly possible. Sometimes you have to give up your turn to score some damage if they're like blocking every other instance of damage or ways to score damage. So again, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices, right? But overall, your general goal is once you have your turn, maintain your turn so you can keep doing things that you can do on your turn, because then they, will be most likely to take damage off that. So yeah, when it's your turn, you kind of have the same thing. You create this list of like, oh, I've got command throw. Oops, command throw. I've got dragon rush. I've got overhead. I've got weird cross-uppy things. Things like that, right? I've got those things to score damage to make them get hit, or keep hitting buttons, and eventually they'll stop blocking for some reason. You've got all those ways to hit them when it's your turn. So likewise, when it's their turn, they're doing all the stuff to you. They're hitting you, they're doing block strings, things like that. When it's their turn, then you have to create a list of things that will get you back to neutral, or end their turn essentially. So as Android 16, you might go, that's a bad option in most cases. It technically works, so yeah, I just did that as a default because it was level 3 super, right? But like you can do, that's a command throw, and there's a lot of damage, it's got vulnerability or something. So if they do something and you grab them with it, that's a way of escaping it. That's a high risk way of doing it, though, mind you. So you don't want to. That's kind of a last resort, or like, I know what you're doing so hard that I'm going to predict it and then punish you in the most humiliating way possible, so they stop doing that kind of thing, right? That's what that's for. You can tech throws by hitting buttons. You can tech dragon rush, to say. You can deflect. Use deflect to knock projectiles back. If they do a key blast, you can do a dragon rush in the middle of that key blast and hit them out of that. You could do, maybe that's invulnerable or something like that. Or if they have a hole in their block string, you jump back and block. Or you block low or you block high and just wait for a really long time. Those are kind of your list of options when it's their turn. Don't think about any other buttons. Like, you might use this every once in a while. You might hit this if it's like a really good thing to do if they do like a dragon rush in the middle of their block string, right? Or like you hit, standing C because, they do a single slow move that'll get you by the arm or something, right? But as Android 16, just make a small list of things that you can do, like deflect, low block, high block, backdash, chicken block, and like random super or something like that, right? And that's your list. That don't add to that list. Like don't go crazy trying to make this gigantic list of like, oh, if I do this, this, and this in this situation, that's what comes later. That's what you learn when you play the game a lot and get matchup experience. Don't sweat that kind of stuff like super early on, because if you do, then you'll just start getting hit out of like stupid things, right? Learn when to deal with every one of their situations with like basic counters, and then start branching out. It's like, oh, can I hit this button in the middle of like them doing the third part of their auto combo, right? That's something you can do, possibly, but like don't do that until like you've learned, how to get your turn back through basic means like that are pretty universal, right? And so make your list of like those like 6 items, and then match it with their list essentially. Like, they're going to do overheads, they're going to do like dragon rushes, command throws, cross ups, things like that, and just go, okay, if they do that, I'll do this. And if I do that, I'll do this. Or like, they do that, I'll do this. And make that list of like things you can do to escape their pressure with your list, and just memorize that, and then use that to get back to neutral or even your turn if you're lucky enough, right? So yeah, if you think about turns that way, just a small list of moves that you have that are critical to scoring damage, and they have that same list, and then you go like you're basically playing those lists against each other, right? Well, playing those lists against each other, in a different way. So, to move backwards a bit, like, you've got a list of defensive options, you're playing that list against his offensive options. His turn, right? When it's your turn, you've got your list of offensive options, and they have their list of defensive options. And that's your turn, right? So just keep those small lists in mind, and then start branching out into the matchups. Don't worry too much about, like, all the nuances of each matchup, just learn the basics. So yeah, that should cover it for like your turn versus their turn. And once you get a combo, or once they get a combo, the turn continues, and see where that puts you, if it exits the turn or not. So moving on from that list is just neutral, right? So in neutral, your goal is to earn your turn while making sure they don't hit you and like earn their turn, right? So an easy way to like earn your turn is like Android 16. I say easy, not necessarily the wisest way. It's like just doing an anti-air grab or like doing a full screen grab, right? You know, that'll hit them and you'll get not like a combo after that. Like, and now it's your turn, right? You know, that's a way of doing it at neutral. But like, you know, that's not always how it's going to play out. And so you got to think, you know, where can I put myself that I'm one step away from earning my turn, right? So generally in most fighting games, like there's an ideal range for each character where it's like if I do any one of X things, it's instantly my turn, right? That is your ideal character position outside of your turn. So as Android 16, you know, you might go, okay, you know, there's no way I can earn my turn here besides getting Spanish attack, right? There's no way of doing it. You know, I can't think of a single way that's possible. Maybe this or something? I don't know. But like, you know, you can't even do a command throw there. So if you dash forward once, you're now in command throw range. Oops, let's move all the way back. You dash forward once, you're now in 5C range. You dash forward once, you're in instant air dash C range, right? You've got like all these options here that you didn't have before. Obviously, you know, when you're here, you've got more options because now you're standing jab hits. You know, you've got, you know, throw. You know, you've got like instant air dash B here. You know, you can dash and then do low. You can do anti-air command throw if they jump, and it'll hit from this range. So like, you know, the closer you get as Android 16, the more options you have, and less options Frieza tends to have, right? Now he'll still get some options that he wouldn't have before, but you know, he's got all these like range attacks that will hit 16 that he can't do now. So your goal here is to like, I'm not saying this is ideal range, right here, but like this is a good range for Android 16. Not the best range, but it's better than here. And so your goal when you're over here is to like get over here, because now if he gets hit, congratulations, you have your turn, right? So that's kind of the goal of neutral, right? To put yourself in a position where you can instantly earn your turn. If not, you're looking for openings to put yourself into that position that will help you earn your turn. Sometimes they'll make just a goofy mistake, and you know, you want to capitalize off that, and then instantly earn your turn that way, but for as good players that won't happen as often, right? So in neutral, your goal is to put yourself in the ideal position to earn your turn instantly. And both characters are kind of fighting for that, right? You know, in Frieza, he's going to be like, I'm going to push you out so you're not in that range anymore, so it's always my turn. Because I'm like always doing range attacks, and then, you know, I can follow up with stuff that'll give me my turn, right? But at 16, you know, I want to get here. So the battle is over like this prime real estate right here. It's like, am I out of... I'm using the example, you know, this might not actually be the ideal range when push comes to shove later on down the game's life, but like if I'm out of this range, let's just say once I'm in this range, that's my, like I can instantly earn my turn, I'm really strong here. Frieza's goal is to keep me here, my goal is to get here, and that binary difference is kind of the matchup in many cases. Not always, but like that's a good way of simplifying it. It's like, can I instantly earn my turn versus can I not instantly earn my turn? And how many options do I have to instantly earn my turn? That is the fight you are doing in neutral. And so, you know, once you're in a turn, it's pretty straightforward. Use that list of options that you make up. You know, overheads, dragon rushes, you know, lows, command throws, things like that, right? Make that list of your options to score damage when it's your turn, and make the list of options that you have when you're defending when it's their turn. And just one thing to add to that, beyond that, is, you know, each character has different lists. So Vegeta has a DP. You know, this is invulnerable. This costs no meter. So any given time when Frieza's attacking, this is now on my... He has to account for this on my list. And I have this on my list. You know, if he does something stupid and predictable, I can just hit this attack and I will instantly get my turn because this knocks down, right? So this changes the dynamic of every single matchup, and that's what makes fighting games kind of interesting, is, you know, the lists change, and the range in which both characters are at ideal situations changes from matchup to matchup. And so, you know, make your list, you know, whatever it may be. For Vegeta, it's like this, overhead, instant air dash, like low, instant air dash, attack. Oops. Instant air dash, like attack. Things like that, right? you know, his offense list is different than Android 16's offense list. So make your character's list of things that you can use to score damage and apply it. Just go, okay, I need to, this will score me damage, this will score me damage. Just try to hit the things that will score you damage when you have your turn, and then do a combo, reset the situation, and then keep your turn and do that again. That's the gist of a fighting game. So yeah, I hope that helps you like understand like, you know, how to play a fighting game, like, you know, get better at a fighting game, right? Like how to think about fighting games as a whole, how to think about improving, and you can branch out and expand your knowledge from there. But that's a really good place to start, and just start thinking about, you know, the basics of a fighting game and how to get good. So I hope this was useful. I don't give a shit about like that likey subscribey thing. So you know, I hope you found this informative, because like that's really all I'm here for. No production values. This is like super ghetto. So yeah, hope that was enjoyable, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.